What's up, college football fans, and welcome to Week 9 of TJ's College Football Vlog. Hope you guys are enjoying the season and enjoying the lovely fall weather. Let's go ahead and jump right into it. This week's contender and pretender. Our contender for this week, and I've said this at the beginning of the season with their star player, and I'm going to say it for the team now. Our contender this week is Stanford University. Stanford coming off a real close win against the USC Trojans, winning it in fairly dramatic fashion and starting to look like the team we kind of expected them to be. Looking like they might have a shot at breaking into the BCS championship game. And of course they're led by a man who's quickly becoming a legend in college football ranks and even in the NFL ranks, it seems, is Andrew Luck at quarterback. Probably the front runner for the Heisman right now, and probably going to be the number one draft in the NFL. Easily looking like the best quarterback in college football. Just a great runner, great passer, knows how to call the game, and is leading his Cardinal to a very impressive season. So way to go, Stanford Cardinal. Our pretender this week is a team that I've actually called a contender, and I may have to retract that now. My pretender for this week is Wisconsin. 2 weeks in a row with really surprising fourth quarter collapses. This past week losing to Ohio State on a Hail Mary in the last minute of the game. After being behind the entire game to the Buckeyes. It seems the secret is out on Wisconsin. Just good defensive pressure is enough to stop a once seemingly unstoppable offense. And Russell Wilson looking a little more human against some better defenses. So it looks like the Wisconsin Express into the national championship game has been derailed. But still a chance for Wisconsin to salvage a pretty good season, still sitting at 5-2. Well, let's go ahead and look into our games of the week. It's pretty easy. This week's game of the week, we've got, for the first time in a while, a number 1 versus number 2. We've got number 1 LSU going to Tuscaloosa to take on number 2 Alabama in what's being called the game of the century. And if you're into defense, if you're into big plays making the difference, this one's going to be one you're going to like. It's tough to call. It's a matter of defense between these two teams. LSU and Alabama boast two of the best defenses in the country, if not the best defenses in the country. LSU's defense is built on making the big play, getting the turnover, getting the pick six, and just making some huge plays. Alabama's defense is just about crushing you, stopping you from scoring, stopping anything you have going. It's little things that make the difference in these matchups. I like Alabama from a coaching perspective. I like Alabama from the perspective of playing at home. And I like Alabama from the perspective of on the offensive side. I just think they have a steadier offense. They have a star they can go to in Trent Richardson. And I like Alabama winning this one in a very close, low-scoring game. My other game of the week we're going to look at is number 17 Kansas State versus number 3 Oklahoma State. Now listen, I like Justin Blackmon. He's probably the best receiver in the country right now. And I like Oklahoma State. I like what they're doing up there. I think the bubble is about to burst on the Pokes. And I think Kansas State might be the team to do it. Kansas State having a very surprising season at 7-1. And I'm going to go ahead and predict that Kansas State gets a very big upset win against Oklahoma State and derails the Oklahoma State Express to the National Championship Series, if I can borrow the illustration I used for Wisconsin. Now, let's turn to our hometown heroes. There's also a potential game of the week for the Gamecocks this week. Number 10, South Carolina will be traveling to Fayetteville to take on the number 8 Arkansas Razorbacks. The Razorbacks for the last 5 years have presented just a huge challenge for South Carolina. South Carolina only 1-4 against them the past 5 seasons, and particularly coming off of a pretty embarrassing loss at home last year to Arkansas, 41-21, mostly at the hands of graduated quarterback Ryan Mallett, who is now with the New England Patriots. South Carolina has actually a few things going for them in this game. There's a lot more pressure on Arkansas in this because Arkansas needs to win this just to stay relevant in the SEC West. The SEC West clearly probably the best division of college football. South Carolina, this game does not have all the bearing on its conference championship hopes. South Carolina really in control of its own destiny in the East Division. South Carolina, most people assumed that the run game would be history after Marcus Lattimore's season-ending injury. And then Brandon Wilds comes out this past week, a true freshman, runs for over 130 yards. South Carolina racks up over 200 yards on the road against Tennessee. South Carolina's just a hard team to guess this year, but they seem to be taking a page out of the baseball team's playbook, and they seem to be winning anyway. My heart would like to pick my Gamecocks. My head is telling me that Arkansas at home is going to be a little too tough to tame. So I'm going to pick Arkansas winning in a very, very close game. Now, for another big in-state game, we have Furman University taking on the Appalachian State Mountaineers. Much like Arkansas with South Carolina, App State is just a team that has had Furman's number for a number of years. In fact, last time Furman notched a W against Appalachian State was at home in 2005. Had a lot of things going for them like Ingle Martin, Jordan Felton, some of those players. Furman is coming off of a big road win against Chattanooga. Furman has a lot of momentum going for it, and Furman's defense probably looks better than it has in at least 5 or 6 years. My head is telling me to pick Furman here, but I think my gut and my head are in one in this. I'm picking Furman in a big upset to beat the Mountaineers in Greenville. Clemson is on bye this week, and there's probably no better time to have an off week than this week. Clemson coming off a very tough loss to Georgia Tech on the road. I saw that as a possibility. Georgia Tech's a team that's historically played well against Clemson, but I didn't think it would go down like that. But at any rate, Clemson's still sitting at 7-1. They're still a very good football team with a lot going for it. And this bye week's probably a good time for them to kind of collect things and get back together. Well, anyway, that's all I have for this week's college football report. Hope you enjoy the games. Hope you're having a blessed week. See ya.